Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted true unlimited opportunity in your life, then do we have the Homeless to Billionaire show for you. Today I'll be talking with Andres Pira, real estate and business tycoon and author of an inspiring and informative success-building book, Homeless to Billionaire. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about the principles of wealth attraction and creating unlimited opportunity. That plus we'll talk about rickshaws and India, green mountains and famous, I am inscriptions, climbing active volcanoes, a Phuket fishing park, one missing noodle angel, and what in the world Swedish fish, live ones, in an air duct has to do with anything. So welcome to the show, Andres. Are you ready to shine?
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. I'm very happy to be here with you today.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and a mighty woohoo!
Woohoo!
Awesome. So before we dive right into things, you started the book out strong in this way. Strong is an understatement. What do you mean you grew up confident you would never become someone whom your parents could be proud to call son?
Well, I didn't thought that I had the opportunity. I jumped out of school in an early age. I didn't have the education. I was in the wrong kind of environment, the wrong kind of people, what I was socializing with. And I knew that I believed that my destiny was just, that's the person I'm going to become for the rest of my life. A person without education, without a proper job, and just being around other people that are miserable. So that's what I thought that my life was going to be like.
So, and if we go back, thank you for sharing. If we go back to your earliest days, where were you born? And it wasn't exactly a peaceful, easy existence in your earliest days, was it?
Well, it was not. No. Well, we all gone through hard times in life, and I had mine, and I have my story to share. And hopefully, people will know that if I had a hard youth and I was growing up in the bad environments, then I mean, if I can change, anyone can. So yeah, but it all started in Colombia, South America, was I was born, and then I was raised in Sweden, and now I live in Thailand.
So, and when you were in Sweden, so in Colombia, this was a rough neighborhood, the island of San Andres, which is where your name came from, and you moved to Sweden, but you managed to, maybe there was some of that roughness you carried forward with you because you felt that toughness was the way to survive in your early years.
Absolutely, and I was grown up in the worst suburbs of Stockholm, and that was the rule of the streets. If you're weak and you show weakness and you show that you're afraid, then you will become an even harder, an easier target and a victim, because that was the rules that we had to apply with. So the more weak and feared you seem to be, the more will people go after you.
So before we go into your after high school days, please forgive me for asking, can you tell us about the real Swedish fish and what happened?
All right. Well, I don't know if many people know about it, but we have this Swedish fish that we preserve and conserve for many, many months, almost a whole year. So it's literally rotten fish that Swedish people love to eat, but it smells really, really, really horrible. And I was using that to do different pranks when I was small. So I put a couple of the jars in the school's air duct system, and well, they had to close down the school for 3 days because it was impossible to be there, because it was a central air condition going out to all the rooms and halls.
So, you know, if we think about this, okay, it was really stinky. Okay, you shut down the school, but there was actually a hint of your greatness here. It was creative. It was out of the box. It was risk-taking. You had to step back and be ingenious, to take time with yourself and say, what can I do that's really big here, didn't you?
Well, of course. What can I do that is really big, and what can I do to not be, so that I don't have to go back to school for a few days?
Success!
Yeah, yes.
All right, going forward from there, your mantra is never show weakness or fear. You're out on the streets and you wake up dead one day. What happened?
Oh, well, I see you read my book.
Yes.
So, excellent. Thank you. Well, I was in bad environments, and I was always in gang-related environments, fighting with other gangs and other suburbs, and that was our daily day life to get to get drunk and to party and then to fight with other gangs. And one time I did wake up on a staircase and I thought that I was dead because it was an empty building and I was lying on glass and I didn't know where I was and how I ended up there. And when I opened my eyes, totally bruised and could barely move myself, then I really thought that was the day I actually woke up dead. So yeah.
And so you decided we've got to make some changes here. And how did you flip? Was it easy to flip that switch? Because you do seem like you have an ability. When you make a decision, you go for it all in.
That is true, but I was not always like that. I was always a procrastinator almost all my life, and I always thought that everything can be done tomorrow, or the next day, or the next year, or it's not the right moment. It's not I'm waiting for that perfect moment to change. And of course, I believe in something totally different now, and I take immediate action to any decisions I need to do. But at that time, I didn't. But it took many years to develop that and to change. So, I mean, but it's all a practice, and when we see the great results we get. When we actually take immediate actions on decisions we do, we get much better results than waiting for them.
And so you got a job. Actually, you call it your first job, but as I recall, it was actually your second. You had been selling chocolate at 14 and was quite ingenious at that. So you fell back into sales. This case, it sounds like a depressing, dark cubicle with SIM card sales on the phone.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the first job was to sell chocolate balls door to door, and that was hard because they told us to just sell a whole box of 30 of them in each time, and no one really want to buy them. So I came out with a plan to why don't I just sell one by one, and I sell them for $5 instead, which means that I will make profit after the 30 were sold, and that worked out much better, and I became the best chocolate ball seller of the whole of the whole team. Yeah. So and yeah, the second job was I got employed in a telemarketing office selling prepaid SIM cards, and I was doing 200-300 phone calls a day when I was young, and yeah, that was the harsh hours from noon till 9 o'clock evening. So it was always constant darkness as soon as I finished job. So, but that was it taught me a lot of other things and good things also, to have persistence. But yeah, that was the second job I got.
So, and going from there, I mentioned we'd go down the woo-woo rabbit hole. At some point, you heard kind of you're on 3 depressants, you're paranoid, you lock the doors, bar the doors, you're afraid people are going to get you because of the meds that you're on, and you heard a voice. What was it telling you, and how did that become a bit of a guiding light?
I think we all have that inner voice. I call it the soul, or the spirit that every human being has, and I had it, and I could hear it once in a while, and then it becomes stronger and stronger, and that voice was telling me that I'm better than this, I'm better than this, I'm better than this, and I didn't really know what it meant. I thought it was just the medications of the antidepressive pills that I was subscribing me, or there was, I didn't know what it really was, but after a while it becomes stronger and stronger, and I knew that there might be something that's trying to tell me something. And that voice was telling me to say that you need to find your own way, your own path. You need to take a big leap of faith and follow the things that follow your dreams and desires. And perhaps the country of Sweden is not the place that you're supposed to be in. Because I knew that I want to live in a tropical paradise, but I didn't know where, how, and how that's going to happen. But some voice told me that this is what you're going to do and you're better than this. So that was the inner voice talking to me at that time when I was young.
So when your grandfather passed away, and I understand that hit you like a ton of bricks, how did you, when you got an inheritance that was just enough to give you wings, was it an instant gut aha decision, or was it hearing that voice in your head? How did you say, I'm leaving Sweden, I'm leaving everything I know behind?
Well, when my grandfather died, I have 2 sisters and 1 brother, and we all got $2,000 each as inheritance. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I got that money from my father, I knew that was my ticket out. I just could feel it, that this was because I didn't have that income to even buy a flight ticket out of the country. And when I got that inheritance, $2,000, that was exactly for a flight ticket out. So there was something telling me that this was the way out. And I was always before that period. I was waiting for that moment that to materialize, right? And when it came, it felt right. But it was one of the hardest decisions I ever done in my life, to go to a travel agent, tell him that I want to go to a tropical country I didn't know anything about, and use that money that my father strictly told me to use for education, or to save it, or invest in it in something, but it has to be in Sweden. So he was very strict when he gave me the money, and to be able to buy a flight ticket to a foreign country that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the culture. Of course, it was a hard step, but I took it. I took that leap of faith, and I bought that ticket. And when I came home, I had to tell them all what I have done. And there was no way out, because I didn't even buy the cancellation policy on that ticket. So I was going. So, there was a big argument that day after I decided to tell them.
Did your mom eventually support you on it?
She was the quiet one. My father's always been the strict one. But what gave me that courage and strength is after I had all the screams from my father telling me to stay and that I did the wrong decision. She looked at me and she said that, Andres, if everything goes wrong, and if everything goes how you haven't expected to go, you're always welcome back with open arms, and my door will always be open to you. So that was one of the most encouraging words that she ever said, and that's one of the last things I will remember before she passed. So that gave me that strength.
So thank you so much for sharing. It's interesting because you said you were waiting. You knew this day would come, in a sense. How did you choose Thailand? And I visited the island where you're at Phuket, and it's a place, well, it's amazing place of contrast, but it is a real estate, or it has been a real estate boom. How did you end up there in particular?
Well, I went to a travel agent and I had this $2,000. And after I had paid off some debt that I had maybe $1,000 left. And I went to the travel agent and said, I want to go to a tropical paradise with blue oceans, white sandy beaches, and coconut trees. And that was more or less where I wanted to go. So she started to show me different pictures of our travel magazine, travel catalog, right? And then she told, well, have you ever been to Asia and Thailand? A lot of people, they talk good about it, and that you can afford a one-way ticket with the money you had to there. So, and I love the pictures on that magazine, and it looked exactly like I was dreaming of having that kind of life. So that's when I decided to buy the ticket. So there was more of a coincidence. I didn't know anything about the country. It was more her recommending me to go there.
I love these kind of coincidences, synchronicities, things that don't appear on the surface. Oh, yeah, she just happened to mention it. But behind the scenes, it's like there are all these strings being pulled to get you exactly where you're supposed to be. You mentioned earlier that you used to be a procrastinator. Now you take action. What's the importance of asking? Because you did this when you got that check. What can I do today?
Exactly. And what can I do today is to find out where I can go with this money, or what I can do. And it's just not about the money or taking a decision to fly sometime. We all have inspirational ideas. We all have these flashes of light that I call them, they just come into our mind and we know that we need to take a certain action, or we get an inspirational idea that we want to develop. And most of us would think that's great. I will do that later, or I will think about it later. But and then a few days later, we're so angry with ourselves because we don't remember what it was. We just remember that we had this great idea or that great solution to any problem we may have. But I think taking immediate action it's the key to success, because success likes speed. And we have to take these kind of decisions quick. And sometimes we don't know what decision to take. We just have to start with the first step, and the whole path will reveal itself, right? So taking immediate action is very important.
Excellent. And so you have this list, a what can I do today list. So the idea comes up, you get it down on the list immediately, you review it later in the day. How does that work for you?
Well, as soon as I have it, I write it down, or I even use my phone and I record it with the microphone, and then to next day or same day or tomorrow if I'm busy at work, because we can have all these ideas when we're busy with something. We can be at work, or we can be with our with our girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and then we cannot take immediate action at that same second, but write it down and record it. And then when you have your lonely moment, that go through the notes that you've done, and then you know what next step you should do. And the first question is, what can I do today to take a first step into that direction? And sometimes you need to find that person who knows about that topic or that problem resolution, or read about a certain article you need to do, or do some research. There is always a little step you can do to continue that right direction you need to take. Yeah.
And I love that you just said, the first part you said is who could I ask about this? You're a billionaire, but my guess is when you don't know the answer, you don't pretend to know the answer. You go, who can I speak to who will know about this?
Exactly. I mean, we're all human beings, and there is always people that knows more than you in certain topics, and there is always people that have done certain things that you haven't done. But it's pretty easy to find those people if you just do a little bit of research. Where we have knowledge on our fingertips now, with internet, with books, with magazines, with all that. So there is always that little effort you can do to find that person or find that information that takes you to the next step.
Beautiful. So I want to get a little bit more into your story. Before I do that, you have 3 interesting questions when setting a goal. Maybe you can go through that briefly. How will that item or experience look in detail when I receive it? How long do I give myself until I reach it? How will I feel and act when I achieve it?
Absolutely. I have those 3 key questions because the more vivid you can see those things, and the more in description you can see, the more specific you are when you have a goal or desire or a plan to do something. The more details and description you have of them, the quicker they come to you, and the quicker they become reality, because we all live in a beautiful world. We have a universe that actually can work with us, but we also need to ask them, be specific with the things that you want, because many people are not specific enough. And it's very hard for the universe itself to give it to you because they don't know really what you're asking for. So the first is, how do I feel when I have it? And how will it look like? And all these things, it makes you're creating an image of already having those things, right?
Beautiful.
More details you put in, even with sense or feel or smell and sight. All these things are very important to have them in your mind, because that's the key. That's how the universe responds to you in the best way and the fastest way possible.
And that's what was embedded in your brain. I'm convinced you get this $2,000 check, and all of a sudden you're seeing the palm trees, you're smelling the salt water, you're feeling the sand beneath your feet, and you're going, it's in there.
Exactly. And you just feel that is the sign, that is the dot, that is the message, right? And we all have that. If we put goals, and then they suddenly shut up on us, but we have that sense that is the one that we've been waiting for. But just know that it will happen and have confidence in it. That's very important.
Thank you. So you flew from Sweden, you went to Thailand, and it struck me that there is a part of this that is law of attraction. We step forward, all the secret tools in here, but there's also a part of being able to clear ourselves of old patterns and to recognize old patterns. You fell into one right away, and it's a miracle. How did you actually end up getting to Phuket? Because I think it's an absolute miracle that you made it there and with your bags.
Yeah. Well, I was very surprised when I landed in Thailand, and I was expecting my blue oceans and palm trees and white sandy beaches. But what I didn't understand, that I have booked a ticket to Bangkok, the capital, and there is no beaches and palm trees and white sand. It's just a big, massive city with a lot of traffic and skyscrapers. So when I came up from the airport there, I got even more terrified, because I thought I was in a completely wrong country. And I didn't have enough to Bangkok and Phuket are 1.5 hour away with flight, but very far away from if you take a bus or a car. But I didn't have enough to even buy a flight ticket from Bangkok to Phuket again. So I had to go around and ask people. And sooner or later, I realized that the only thing I had left was a bus ticket to Phuket, which was an 18-hour drive. So, and what happened in between then, well, I think people should read it in the book.
I won't give it all away. Let's just say that the driver was really kind in the creative accommodations that he came up for you. How will that work?
Exactly. Not in the passenger seat, but we can mention we had a luggage compartment in that story somewhere.
Private. Usually you
Ex-
pay extra for such
That is true.
accommodations.
That is true. I have to see it as a VIP seat, though.
So we went from there. You're down in Phuket. You get your first job. It doesn't go as expected. You end up living under a palm tree with your 2 bags. What was going on, and what was the the magic shift or the magic phone call that helped get you out from under those trees?
Yeah, well, if I go back a bit, when I came to Phuket, I knew that I needed a job very, very quick because I was down to my last, I think it was my last $100 or something, and I started to ask every resort, hotel, restaurant, bar, office for job. They wanted maybe to have a motivational young guy who speak 3 languages, so that was the strength I had by that time. And I did land a job for a hotel, giving out brochures on the beach walk. And I had this mindset, living day by day, that life just happens to you and you're not in control of it. And have fun today because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I was one of those believers, and I believe in something completely different right now. And having that job over a year, I started to enjoy party life and being out again, and spend my little income that I had in nightlife and being out late. So that ended up me not paying the rent for 4 months. And I got thrown out from my tiny little room in Thailand, and that's the day I became homeless. And I had to go down to the beach with my bags and towels and sit down and think what I'm going to do with my life. And that day became 2 and then 3. And then I ended up almost 2 weeks sleeping under these coconut trees totally by myself.
And during this time, this was an opportunity to, as you're saying, be with yourself. Did your belief system start to change, or it wasn't until a magic book showed up in your life?
It was until that greatest gift that someone ever gave to me that I started to see differences and change my life about how to think and how to control your thoughts and emotions of your body, right, and your soul. And that was a friend of mine that I called back in Sweden, and because I was too proud to call my family and friends and ask them for money or tell them that I failed because they were against me leaving in the first place. So I was too proud to ask them. So I came to think of an old colleague of mine that didn't have any connection to my family, and I asked him, I'm in a very bad situation. Can you please send me some money because I'm homeless here on a beach and I don't know what to do. And he said, well, no, Andres, I won't give you any money, but I will send you a book. And of course, when he said that, I became very angry. I became very upset because that was the least thing I wanted. And I just thought that the world was cruel. But today I understand him. I haven't spoken with him for a year, and I call out from the blue and ask him for money. I mean, I was one of these people that only use their friends when they actually need help. And I was that kind of person that time too. So I understand him today. But that book, anyway, it's about how to control your thoughts and emotions. And I went to the internet shop. I had about maybe 50 cents to print out the PDF version of the book.
Yeah.
And I saw it, instead of feeling sorry for myself and sitting here on the beach and blaming the world, blaming my employee, blaming my parents, and what's wrong with everyone else, I might just read this stupid book and at least focus on something else instead of just feeling sorry for myself. So I started to read this book on the beach, and I got even more angry and more upset because it's about how you can change your reality and how you can change your outcomes and follow your dreams, desires, and visualize and do certain exercises to get everything you want. And I didn't believe any of that crap, if you know what I mean, because I was just that believer that this is just some magical thinking that it doesn't work. So I started to do the exercises just to disprove all these things wrong.
I like it.
I just started to question it and disprove it, and that's was my job, to disprove every single thing. But when I started to get similar results that they told me that I would get, and that was one of the biggest turning points in my life. And now I'm not a believer even in it anymore. I just know it works.
So, in fact, what would you say is before you said that wasn't my belief system, what is your belief system now?
Well, I guess, I mean, I've been very poor, and I'm completely the opposite, I would say. But and I can just reflect on how I was thinking then and what I'm thinking now. And when I was poor, I just saw that you're not in control of your own reality. Life just happens to you, and you're not in control of it. You live day by day, right? And now I know that we are the creators of our own reality, and we form our future with the images of our mind and the desires of our soul. So we're actually we are beings that can create anything we want, and we can actually control our future with the right mindset and materialize everything we have in our head.
Woohoo! I'm picturing you driving down the road in Thailand, and I've driven down the roads in Thailand. It's Mad Max, Wild Wild West. Everybody's going through the red light if they can, and
Yeah.
you're there going, "I'm the best salesperson in Thailand. I'm the best salesperson in the world."
Yeah, I remember those moments, and that's a powerful method of incantations, affirmations, and it's to repeat the things that you want with a great feeling in your body. Yeah.
So and then you've written all over. Do you still write all over the place, all your I am statements, or have you burned them in where they're not on the walls anymore?
I have burned a lot of. I have burned most of them in now because now I have the relationship. I have my daughter, so they need spaces on their walls. But I still write them. I still write things down on my calendar or my piece of papers next to my bed in when I'm in Thailand and things like that. But I was doing it much more extensively before. Yes.
And what are the I am statements?
Well, I am whole, I am happy, I am healthy, and I am helpful, and I'm rich. So I repeat them, I write them down because whatever you put I am in,
Mhm.
it's when you're talking to your own soul, you're talking to your spirit. And that kind of commands goes to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind, after repeating it long enough, it becomes a belief. And when it becomes a belief, your subconscious mind sees it as a directive and it starts to shape reality around you to make it happen.
Excellent. And so going on beliefs, you had, I would say, correct me if I'm not correct here, in the beginning, quite a poverty and a lack of empowerment mindset. How did you begin to operate from an abundant mindset? And things didn't all go right. Some things blew up on you. There were some, I'll put them in quotes, bad decisions that were probably amazing learnings. But how did you switch back to the abundant mindset again?
Well, I mean, in the start, I when I started to get successful, I had great success, incomes, and everything was growing. And believe it or not, I lost it all. My first company, so I went bankrupt, and I almost became homeless again. And then I had to reflect on myself: how did this happen, and how can I prevent it in the future? And I started to realize all the big bad decisions that I've done, but also what I understood that I actually stopped doing the thing that make me successful. I stopped writing my goals. I stopped doing incantations, if I may, affirmations. I stopped visualizing things, and I started to worry about all the things that I didn't want in my life. Instead, I started to worry: how can I pay my employees? How can I pay my office? How can I buy this thing that I need? And I started to focus on all these things instead of going back to all the exercises that actually made me successful. And that's when I lost everything again. But as soon as I shift that mindset again and I started to do all this exercise again, meditate, visualize, doing goals, doing information, affirmations, incantations, then I started to get the same results again. And from that day, I know that I need to spend the time given or whenever I can to continue that, because that's actually the key to success, to be determined and to do these things on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis as much as you can.
So, do you take time on a daily or weekly basis and put it in the calendar and carve it out? Or maybe it's nature time, say, I'm just kicking myself out for some me time. How do you protect this with your life?
Well, I mean, I'm a human being also, and sometimes it can go weeks before I do it, and I have to remind myself. But I know how important it is, and it's a bit of discipline and determination. But as soon as I do it, I feel great because I knew that all these things come out again, and it can go several days that I don't do it. I'm traveling. I'm climbing a volcano or a mountain somewhere, and I, I I steer off from that. But it's going back to that same routine. But it doesn't matter if you miss a day, 2 or a week, or 2 weeks. But just going back to the exercise and all these things that actually puts you forward and takes you all these next steps forward to anything you want. We have to go back to them, but don't hang up yourself if you miss a week or two then.
Thank you. I'm curious, do you have a morning routine?
I do have a morning routine, yes.
Do you mind sharing about it?
Of course. I mean, for me, I think it's important how you wake up in the mornings because the whole day will pan out that way. If you wake up with a grumpy face and you're worried about things and you're just unhappy to wake up, the whole day will come. Negative events will happen. You will get negative phone calls. You will loss of income, or maybe a relative becomes sick. It's all negative events pan out, and I believe that we create those things with how we feel. So I make sure that every morning I start to go around and be grateful for all the things I already have. And it's easy to say, well, Andres, you have everything, but no, I was actually grateful before I even was successful. I started to do this exercise because there is always something to be grateful for. I mean, even if you have a roof over your head, or you can eat something a day, or you have a meal, or you have shoes to walk on, or we have clothes to keep us warm, or we have a relationship that we like, there is always something to be grateful for. So I spend all 20, 30 minutes every morning to be grateful for all of those things, and I repeat them, and it fills me with a great joy and happiness, and the whole day pans out that way.
Awesome. And this gets to another theme of yours. You said celebration creates addiction to progress. This sounds like going beyond basic gratitude to being in a place of celebration each morning.
Yeah, of course. I mean, every step moving forward, or every reaching your goal or your desire, or getting that thing that you put your mind to, celebrate it. It doesn't mean you need to go out and party and drink yourself drunk, but celebrate it. Talk with people about it. Be happy about it, and invite someone for a lunch or something. And all these kind of celebrations are important. And even with employees, when we reach a certain goal, or when we reach a certain target, I mean, we celebrate together and we go out and eat together. We do stuff because that creates more of reaching those goals, and you feel like you're moving forward. And it's a very important feeling to any growth.
Thank you. And actually, there's a lot in your book about giving, about generosity, about taking care of others, about taking care of your employees. Where did this idea of vibrational giving come from, and how does it express itself with you?
Well, it started in Thailand because in Thailand, when you have your birthdays, in our modern world, we're supposed to receive gifts every time we have a birthday, right? But in Thailand, you're supposed to give gifts when you have your birthday. It's the opposite around. So every time you have a birthday, I just came back from an orphanage now because it's my birthday in 2 days, and
Oh, cool.
I was there doing a lecture with them, and I believe that. And when I started to do these things on my birthday, I started to get greater results, both in my company, my incomes. I started to get unexpected calls with investors and clients. And I thought, is this connected, or is it just a random coincidence that every time I actually care about others and give with a great feeling, there seem to be other things around me that start actually to repel. So, and I started to do it more and more and more, even when I saw people, or homeless people, or orphanages, or other charity organizations. As soon as I was giving with a good heart, my everything around me started to go better and better. And why I call it vibrational giving is because we are energy beings. We all vibrate in a certain stage. We're all energy. So when we give something and we do it with a good heart, we emit a certain frequency. Whatever you put out in the world, it comes back to you tenfold. But most people are giving scarcity. They give things because they expect something back, and they think that they're giving because they have to. But that's already a negative feeling inside of you, and that's what you're gonna get back. So give without expectation, and I do that with colleagues and friends and family. And every time I help them to repel and succeed and reach their goals and desires, I get some great results all around me.
Woohoo! So, and we may double back on this. Let's talk about having ideas so massive others get uncomfortable. For instance, our show is to raise people's vibrations, elevate consciousness, and help shift humanity. Just this tiny little goal. What's important about having massive goals that really scare people?
because people will always tell you that it can be done and it hasn't never been done before, and that gives me actually confidence to do it or it gives me motivation to do it, right? But I didn't start that way, and I don't want people to get it in the wrong way, because I didn't start with have massive goals, because I wouldn't believe in them before I could achieve them, right? But I started with smaller goals, okay, and I achieved them, and then I started with middle goals, I got them, and then I could go for the bigger goals. But I like to have the biggest goals and desires in your life. They should scare you a little bit, because that can give you also motivation to pursue them.
Excellent. So if you were to take a litmus test on whether to take action on something, are you feeling it out and saying, what's the emotion? And if you feel some fear in it, that may actually be excitement in disguise and you want to dig in deeper. How would you feel that out?
I think it developed with a gut feeling also about someone. One of my biggest mentors and role models was Joe Vitale before I went out to the stage. And I was terrified because I was going to talk in front of thousands of people, right? And I told him, well, Joe, I'm so terrified to stand on the stage. I don't want to do it. Can you please go out instead of me and said I'm sick or something? Because I was terrified. And he looked at me and he said, well, what are you talking about, Andres? I'm scared every time. And this is a guy that has been being on stage thousands and thousands of times, and that blew me off. And what do you mean you're scared every time? This is your daily living. Yeah, but I just understand now that fear and excitement, it's exactly the same feeling. It just depends on how you think about it.
Yeah.
And that made so much sense. So I understood that I'm actually feeling so enormously excited to step out of my comfort zone and do something that I haven't done before. And when I did it after, it was one of the greatest feelings I ever felt in my life. And we all have this kind of fear inside of us because we're afraid of what other people will think about us, or we're afraid of fail, and sometimes we're afraid of success. But it's actually to tackle those fears and do that, because sometimes that's actually when we grow as human beings.
Thank you. What can you tell us about following your passion, and maybe even the difference between following your passion and following just a whim?
Well, I'm a strong believer that passion is the one of the key ingredients to any success, because what's the point of doing something if you don't like doing it? Then it's very hard to get any success if you feel miserable about something. And everyone has different passions. Everyone is different. Someone likes to make paintings. Someone likes to be home with their kids. Someone likes to be a millionaire. Someone wants to have their own company or whatever. Everyone has different passions, and we have to pursue them, because then it doesn't feel like job. It's like work anymore, because you're actually doing something that you really love. So that's the key. And you can work 12, 18 hours a day because you just love doing it. And that's where the whole success and growth path starts to open up for you.
Beautiful. Maybe you can tell us, I was talking with my wife, Jessica, she's the producer of the show. We were talking about art classes earlier today and talking about your concept, valuing positivity over results. Because if you went into an art class thinking, well, I've got to take one art class, then I've got to take 10 art classes, and I need to make $1 million doing this, you'd give up before you even painted your first strawberry.
Of course. That's what most people do. And positivity is very important also. And some people, from nowadays, when I employ people, I don't really look at their CVs or resumes or what they've done before. We meet them face to face and see how they value life and positivity. And because I hired people with no education at all, but they've been positive, and they turn out to be the best employees I ever had. And sometimes I hire people that has that brilliant resume. They had the doctor's degree or whatever university they had. They had this great experience within that industry, and they turn out to be the worst employees ever. So it's very important, the positive mindset of people, how you work with them.
Woohoo! Tell us about Do, Be, Go, Have.
Yeah, that's in the book also, and it's the same. But when you're doing something, continue doing it because you want to be something, right? And then when you pursue them, after a while, you're gonna have them. So it's a formula I use for myself. It takes a bit of explaining it, and it's one of my greatest chapters in the book. And it's the same. It's a proven formula that works with anything that you set your mind to.
So, what one step can you tell us about this formula?
Well, do you always have to take action before something happens, right? And B, I believe that you need to become that person to get it. And sometimes you just have to pretend you're already that person, or you're already having that experience, or you're already had that personality you need to have to be able to have those things that you wanna achieve in life, right? So it's a proven formula. So do take action, and then B, pretend that you already have it and be that person that you want to be. And then afterwards, it will become a proven factor that you will receive it and have it. So it's a step process.
Woohoo! From there, top 3 tips that you want to give people today for wealth attraction.
Well, lead a laser focused life. First of all, make sure you know what you want, because we can never ever have anything if we don't know what it is we want, right? Mm-hmm. So find out what makes me happy and what do I want to pursue in life, what person I want to see, what city I want to go to, what kind of job do I want to have in 5 years, where do I see myself when I have this money, what should I do with them? All these questions are important, right? And then persistence and never giving up is one of the key ingredients, and continue doing it. We don't need to see the whole pathway. That's what people do wrong. They think that this is what I want to have in life, but they don't see how it's gonna happen and where they're gonna start or how it's gonna pan out. Most of the things that I want, I don't have a clue of how they're gonna happen. I just know they will, and then I take certain actions, and every path will open itself, and that's where that faith and that leap of faith and that believe in yourself you need to establish, because just take one step at a time, and that next step will reveal itself every single time. So persistence and failure is just a part of life. It's part of success. The more you fail, actually, the more you learn.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Jessica, my wife, she always wants me to ask, what advice would you give parents to help their kids today? And you have a daughter or daughters? What do you have now?
I have one daughter, 9 years old, yeah.
Awesome. So what advice would you give to parents to help their kids today?
I would say that we have to support them and listen to them, because it's very important, because kids, they have desires, they have feelings, they have emotions, and there is certain things that they want to do and that makes them happy, that they're interested in doing. And I could see from my parents and other parents that they were always trying to tell us what we should do, but we wanted to do something else. And I think that we need to support their passions and what they want to do, or what desires they have, because we don't want them to live our dream, right? We want them to live their own dream, and that's very important.
Awesome. Woohoo! What personally brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
Well, my woohoo will be to see other people adopt the things that I've been struggling with and all my principles. And when I can see that people are using it and getting results and getting successful, wow, that's an amazing feeling. I really love that. And I want to empower others, because I'm a firm believer that we really only rise when we lift others. And that's my time now to give back to people. Because if I can do all these things and go to a foreign country and don't know the culture and change my life for them, everyone can do that. And that doesn't mean you need to go to another country, but we all have that creation, we all have that mind, we all have that power to actually do whatever we want. So yeah, that's my message out, and I want people to understand that.
I love it, and I want to come back to what you just said. One line sticks out above all others in this whole interview. We really only rise when we lift others.
Exactly.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where can people go to find your phenomenal book, Andres, and to find out more?
Well, my book is on Amazon now. They can search "Homeless to Billionaire." It's there. It's on both on an ebook, or if they want a hard paper cover, they can order it, and they will come home to you very soon. And if they want to download a free chapter, they can go to my website, andrespira.com, and also download a short version of the 18 principles. If they want to read about it first, and if they like it, they can go ahead and get the book.
Fantastic. And if you didn't catch Andres Pira, that's AndresPira.com, come on over to InspireNationShow.com and we'll get you over to Andres Pira, AndresPira.com as well. Andres, this has been phenomenal. Any last words of wisdom you want to share with people today?
Well, it's all there written down, and this podcast, of course, hopefully when people read it, they'll start with the small stepping stones, and they start with the small exercises we have been talking about. And I just love to hear other people how it works out to them. And like I said, prove me wrong. Take my principles into test and just prove them wrong, because I would love to hear their story of how they start to change them as well.
Awesome. So I'm going to give people a challenge that after they read your book, to shoot you an email at your website, let you know how it goes. And I love this challenge of prove Andres wrong, that this stuff doesn't work. Let's see where you go with it.
I would love to see that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andres. This has been so much fun, and you don't need to do this. And so I really, from the bottom of my heart, can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom with the world and sharing your journey with the world. We need more of you in this world.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll get more and more, so we can have this shift of mindset and make people rise up. And that's the only way we're actually going to feel proud and happy about ourselves as human beings.
Amen and a mighty woohoo!
Oh, thanks, Michael.
Thank you. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get homeless to billionaire, and begin attracting transformation in your life today. And shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Michael. This was a great podcast. I mean, I had many, and it's nice when you get a certain good connection with someone like this. So I think you do a phenomenal job. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel, where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much, and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!